You're about to see the most amazing video clip that you're gonna watch all week. We've seen these activist judges trying to block President Trump's orders left and right. And I know that a lot of us have been really frustrated and we've been saying things like, oh, please just ignore the judge's orders. But we know that we can't because that would lead President Trump into an impeachment trap. However, I think this time they found a way around it. The Trump administration has transferred hundreds of immigrants to El Salvador, even as a federal judge issued an order temporarily barring the deportations under an 18th century wartime declaration targeting Venezuelan gang members, officials said Sunday. Flights were in the air at the time of the ruling. U.S. District Judge James E. Boasberg issued an order on Saturday blocking the deportations, but lawyers told him there were already two planes with immigrants in it in the air, one headed for El Salvador, the other for Honduras. Boasberg verbally ordered the planes be turned around, but apparently, and here's where we get to the good part, he did not include this directive in his written order. In a court filing Sunday, the Department of Justice, which appealed Boasberg's decision, said that the immigrants had already been removed from U.S. territory when the written order was issued at 7:26 p.m. Trump's allies were gleeful over the results. Oopsie, too late. El Salvadorian President Bukele, who agreed to house about 300 immigrants for a year at the cost of $6 million in his country's prisons, wrote on X. The first 238 members of the Venezuelan criminal organization, Tren de Agua, arrived in our country. They were immediately transferred to CCOT. That's their super scary prison for a period of 1 year, which is renewable. The United States will pay a very low fee for them, but a high one for us. Over time, these actions, combined with the production already being generated by more than 40,000 inmates engaged in various workshops and labor under the Zero Idleness program, will make our prison system self-sustainable. As of today, it costs $200 million per year. On this occasion, the U.S. has also sent us 23 MS-13 members wanted by Salvadorian justice, including 2 ringleaders. One of them is a member of the criminal organization's highest structure. This will help us finalize the intelligence gathering and go after the last remnants of MS-13, including its former and new members, money, weapons, medications, hideouts, collaborators, and sponsors. As always, we continue advancing in the fight against organized crime, but this time we are also helping our allies by making our prison system self-sustainable and obtaining vital intelligence to make our country an even safer place, all in a single action. May God bless El Salvador and may God bless the United States. President Bukele posted this video of the gang members that were deported from the United States arriving in El Salvador. Wow. They are not playing around. And they put a drone up for this. This is maximum justice.
Nombre. Nombre. César Eliseo Sotomayor.
Quite.
Yo, President Trump is not playing. He is not playing around at all. If I were in this country illegally right now, I would self-deport. CCOT is a super scary prison, and you should check out the video that I did on it already. Try to put the link, I don't know, somewhere around here.
The Alien Enemies Act dates all the way back to 1798. It's only been used 3 times in U.S. history. The last time was during World War II when Japanese Americans were sent to internment camps. That move, of course, already sparking some legal challenges.
And one of those challenges has already worked. Eyewitness News reporter Tim Caputo joins us now with those late-breaking details. Tim.
Jory, Michelle, it is clear the U.S. is not in a war right now. This isn't necessarily a loophole, but maybe kind of a workaround from the Trump administration. Clearly, they're making some moves, trying to claiming the U.S. is being invaded at this point by Venezuelan gangs, and that's why they were invoking this rarely used act. But within 2 hours of this announcement this afternoon, a federal judge blocked it with a temporary restraining order. Now, the White House claims the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, or TDA, is perpetrating, attempting, and threatening an invasion or predatory incursion against the United States. And yes, while there have been arrests of TDA gang members in Colorado and in New York in the last year, many view this move as an attempt by the Trump administration to accelerate deportations. A federal judge this afternoon shut it down before it really ever began, even ordering planes that were carrying non-citizens that are literally in the air right now to turn around and return to the U.S. Even before the Trump administration announced it would invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, there were signs this was coming, and there were questions about the legality.
It's never been used in this circumstance before. The terms of the statute require that we're at war or that there is an invasion. Many of the executive orders have used the word invasion, I think, in part to prep for the possibility of using the statute in order to deport people. But you'd have to have a judge who agrees that there is an invasion under the statutory definition and that we are looking at enemy nationals.
I'm definitely on board with saying that this is an invasion, and if gang members aren't enemy nationals, then I don't know who are. We literally have them taking over apartment complexes at pew pew point. They're R-ing our people. They're ending our people. No, these people have to go.
So this temporary restraining order issued by the judge just minutes ago puts those deportations on hold just for 14 days. ICE will keep those non-citizens in custody until the lawsuit makes its way through the courts. The ACLU were the ones who actually brought this to the attention of the courts, claiming those Venezuelans being deported are actually being sent to prisons in El Salvador, not their home country. The Trump administration, not surprisingly, already responding, claiming the president's Article 2 powers give him the power to unilaterally deport anyone who poses, quote, a significant threat to the U.S., clearly something that'll go through the courts for the next days and weeks to come.
So it appears as if this is the hill that the Democrats want to die on. They want to defend gang members. Let's save the gang members. But this explains the polling. This is why Trump is doing so well and Democrats are doing so poorly. Nobody wants gang members here. I mean, no reasonable people anyway. In 2025, the MAGA party is the party of common sense. And if you're not a complete and utter lunatic, you don't really have any other choice other than to be with us. That's why we have so many former Democrats or people who I'm sure in some ways still consider themselves to be Democrats, like RFK Jr. and Trump himself was a former Democrat. I was a former Democrat. But the left has lost their mind. They have left sanity in the rear view mirror. And at this point, all you can do is hop on the Trump train and enjoy the ride.
Explain to us why we want Tren de Aragua back in the United States.
Yeah, so this judge ordered planes full of suspected
to turn around to the United States. President Trump's proclamation of this seldom used Alien Enemies Act of 1796 says all Venezuelan citizens 14 years or older who are suspected Tren de Aragua gang members cannot become citizens of the United States. But yesterday, the ACLU filed a lawsuit claiming the Alien Enemies Act could be used to deport any Venezuelan in the U.S., regardless of whether they are affiliated with TDA. So a chief U.S. District Judge, James Boasberg of the D.C. Circuit, agreed with the ACLU and went against President Trump, granting a temporary restraining order preventing the deportation of 5 Venezuelans yesterday who were already in U.S. custody. It is unclear right now if the 2 planes that were ordered returned by the judge have done so. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi responding, writing, tonight a D.C. trial judge supported Tren de Aragua over the safety of Americans. This order disregards well-established authority regarding President Trump's power, and it puts the public and law enforcement at risk. The Department of Justice is undeterred in its efforts to work with the White House and Department of Homeland Security and all of our partners to stop this invasion and make America safe again. Now, as the number of illegal migrant crossings and illegal gotaways continues to drastically plunge under the Trump administration, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem posted this video online showing gates at a border wall closing behind her.
This is an announcement to the entire world. America's borders are closed if you want to come here illegally. We only want people in our country who love America and want to follow our laws.
The idea that that you would have a rogue judge in D.C. undermining the entire authority of the judicial branch by getting into a fight like this with the President of the United States, who absolutely has executive authority to do what he's doing, is, I think you could see long-term damage done to undermining the judicial branch's authority. It's absolutely amazing.
Imagine being a donor to the ACLU. Is this really what you want your money to go towards? To making sure that Tren de Aragua gang members. Now, listen, if he's saying, well, the judge is saying maybe this law can be used to deport any Venezuelan who's here illegally, and we want them to go through some other process, that's fine. But it's very clear that the people who were on that plane were Tren de Aragua gang members, and he basically said, bring them back.
Right.
Bring them back to the States. That's crazy.
If I understand, Matt's report is 5. 5 people. You think they haven't properly vetted those 5 people to know they were already in custody? And the other thing, too, is if they bring them back, they're still in custody. It's not like they're going to set them free. And it's just you're delaying the inevitable and costing us more money doing it to prove some point. I'm not sure. You know, we talk about judicial activism and lawfare. Shouldn't the judge, I mean, the Supreme Court generally, no matter if it's conservative or liberal, usually takes the stance of we don't want to pick it up until we absolutely have to. Right. We don't want to make this decision on behalf of the American people and the Congress and the president they've elected unless we absolutely have to. But I guess these lower court judges, I guess for them it's a way to make their name, maybe to create a legacy or get in the news. I'm not sure what their motations are.
But there's a lot of elitism involved in this. You guys remember very clearly when J.D. Vance was interviewed by, I think it was Martha Raddatz, if I'm correct. And they were talking about Tren de Aragua taking over apartment buildings and complexes in Colorado. And she said, listen, it's just a few apartment buildings. You know, if I said, they took over Bethesda.
Like, do you hear yourself? He said something like, his response was like, did you hear what you just said?
Can you hear yourself, Martha? Exactly. They took over her little rich enclave in D.C. She wouldn't feel that way about it. But since it's these working class apartments that you're seeing right here, they don't care. Same for the ACLU, Charlie.
Yeah, and I think it's such an important point. It's why the Supreme Court has to step in and rein in rogue judges that do things like this, and they should do that.
That's good bacon. I know you like good bacon too. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Red Dawn Daily with your host, me, Dawn Marie, and sometimes Leroy. Oh, Leroy, you had a bath yesterday. You're looking floofy and cute. He's just here for the bacon.